I have some really respectable people who I have always looked up to on stage. Mohandas Pai, a very vocal voice for a better Karnataka, better Bengaluru. Thank you, sir. When I was starting my journey as a student leader almost 15, 16 years ago, R.K. Mishra ji was one public intellectual leader who I always looked up to. He's again a voice for better leadership, for better Bengaluru. So nice to see you here today. Madam, welcome to Bengaluru. Thank you so much, and we're all with you in what you're doing with JNU. Thank you. And of course, our very own Nammore Adanta, Namma Jawahar Saru. So PS, I may have not studied here in PS, but the amount of love and affection that I received when Dureswamy sir was alive was truly immense. I'm always grateful for PS University and PS group of institutions. For anything that I want to do, the support is always a phone call away. And I always make it a point to remind him so that the next time I call him for some help, he's always there to support. So all the others on the dais and ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I was just explaining to Mr. Jawahar how somebody like me needs to do context switching in a typical day like today. This is the 6th event I am attending today. And I had a Kempegowda Jayanti walkathon. Arya Vaishya Samajada ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಇನ್ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು entrepreneurship development program. Street vendors with Selco Foundation, we were giving them some push carts designed in a way that will support them to manage the city's heat. And this is another program where Madam came and asked me, have you prepared your speech? So I said, Madam, this context switching is happening, and I will try to do as much justice as possible, but we have people like Mr. Mohandas Pai who is going to speak to us in much greater detail. I have only 2 thoughts to share with all of you. The first one is, you must have seen occasionally these reports being, newspaper reports that come occasionally that randomly say India's democratic index is failing. And then suddenly you are surprised. I mean, we just finished a fair, free, vibrant, chaotic election in 5 states, and then this report comes and says India's democracy is failing. And then the other day you get another report which says India is ranked in the freedom of expression, freedom of speech index, 166th country. And you see which are the countries above India, and you see Pakistan and Bangladesh and other countries above India, and then, Somalia and other countries above India. And then you see the same reports being used by multiple authorities at different levels, and if an Indian dignitary, Indian delegation visits another country, the journalists of that country, based on this report, pose questions to our leaders and ask, why is India not doing well in freedom of speech and expression index? And then there's another day, some other comes, minorities in India are not safe index. And then there was another one, I don't know if you guys saw, this went quite viral on Instagram, that India is one of the countries where most unhappiest people live, right? I mean, I can vouch for you. I mean, this morning, I told you this is my 5th or 6th event. People have been fairly happy, man. I mean, they have been celebrating festivals, they have been dancing, they're happy. And then we suddenly told, you're one of the most unhappiest country on earth. Then if you find out what is the methodology, how these guys have actually arrived at these numbers, 1,600 people interviewed. Now, what is the sample size of this survey? 1,600 people. For a country of 140 crore people, 1,600 people is the sample size, and then with those 1,600 people, their biases, where they are, all, you speak to 5 English speakers in Delhi, Bangalore, or some metropolis or in JNU. Madam, sorry. Okay? And then you arrive at this number that India is unhappy, India has no minority rights, India has no, all of these things. And based on these reports, a global narrative is also made. Now you will have I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of journalists and peer-reviewed reports, which derive legitimacy and authority from what? From I quote you, you quote me, and we do the cross-reference for each other, and therefore our publication is respected the world over. Right? So this is the modus operandi of how these reports always operate. Now, in this kind of a skewed system, where reports are manufactured for the sake of certain vested interests group and with the pressure of certain groups to further a particular agenda, it is also rather it is necessary for even India to say, hey, we also want to rate you. Yes. If you can look at us from your prism and say, this is good, this is bad, because you have these sensibilities, we will also look at you and say, this is how you are. What is wrong? I think whatever comes out of this exercise, the biggest takeaway for me personally is, for a country which is on the rise, whose per capita incomes are rising, which consistently is figuring in the list of countries that are performing exceedingly well when it comes to the growth of our economy and how we are doing in the midst of the global challenges, and a country that has been, to quote the word used in the report, responsible in the most testing of times. Look at what we did during COVID. Countries with multiple times higher per capita income than us, they said, we are not going to give vaccines to the other part of the world. We are going to keep it first for our own people. And India, with a $3,000 per capita income, said, we are going to manufacture and distribute free vaccines, not just for our own people, but we are going to give it to the rest of the world, including Global South. That is responsibility. That is commitment to global good. I was in Sri Lanka recently, and when I was interacting with some young parliamentarians of Sri Lanka, they made a very interesting difference between India's style of diplomacy and what is the Chinese style of diplomacy. With the example of the Hambantota project. The Chinese diplomacy is led by debt traps. While whether it was water, whether it was at a time of shortage of petrol and fuel, whether it was a shortage of food, India was there to support Sri Lanka, no questions asked, because we consider them to be a civilizational brother. This is a responsibility. Help is extended not because we want to entrap them in a debt so that can be leveraged for some other sovereign strategic objective of somebody who is going to support. This is not how India is approached. The same is the case when it comes to Mauritius and many other countries in the Pacific and Indian Ocean region. Maldives, so many countries. You can give n number of examples like this. So I think the parameters you have chosen, whether it is how these countries treat their own citizens, the responsibility towards environment, and responsibility to the rest of the world. All these three are very thoughtful parameters on which the world needs to be judged. Countries that have a tin pot dictator are banana republics in the real sense of the word. They figure higher in a democratic or a free judiciary index or whatever these indexes these people give than a country like India, where we have a chaotic, vibrant, living democracy. And then if you look at what is happening to certain sections of population in many of these countries, you will know that there is nothing called human rights that even exists on paper in those countries. And look at what is happening right here in Karnataka. I'll give you one example. How vibrant has been the discussion on Biddi project. Alva? Biddili AI township ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ ಮಾಡಬಾರದಾ ಅದು ಇದು ಅಂತ ಎಷ್ಟು ಗಲಾಟೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. Imagine if this was some other country, they would have just bulldozed it and got anything done. A single farmer can go to court and say, if this is not fair and just compensation, I can hold the whole project. I can stall the project and ensure that everybody is given fair compensation. This is a functional democracy at work. And then if you also look at, most importantly, the other parameter they have brought. If you look at the developmental journey of the world and compare India and countries like us in the global south, if you take per capita energy consumption, look at where we are and look at where these countries are. And they are the ones who are now asking us to pay the price for climate change. Now when we speak of polluter pays principle, who should be paying? Now, per capita energy consumption, per capita garbage generation, an Indian versus, say, somebody in the US, you just cannot compare. But then they are the champions of environmentalism and clean energy, all of these things, while they want us, who are still in the journey of actually providing the very basic for our people, they want us to cut down on what we are doing. If you look at the Prime Minister's and the nation's commitment, by 2050, India has set for itself a very ambitious target of achieving net zero. There is no country of our size that has actually set for itself this kind of a target. And if you look at all of our renewable energy benchmarks, what we were supposed to achieve by 2030, we've already achieved by 2025. So if you actually take any of these indexes, in all of these indices, India is far, far ahead compared to those who pose or those who claim to be champions of these causes. But I also feel, I was telling Mr. Jawahar the same thing, that while the academic rigor that has gone behind it, the rigor of the methodology, while all of those does have an impact or does have a role in bringing the seriousness to this exercise, it is also important that this index finds cross-references and mentions in international publications. That is an effort that must be done. Because the modus operandi of how these other indices work is very simply the same thing. Somebody writes something in Poland and somebody in Norway quotes it, and somebody later in UK quotes it, and somebody then in US quotes it, and then it suddenly becomes global news. So how can this index find referencing, cross-referencing, peer referencing, whatever it is called in the academic language? how can this be done at a global scale is something that is going to help create a larger narrative value for this exercise. I hope in the days to come that will be done. I wish the team the very best for actually expending so much effort and resources in doing this. I thank all of you. I was told that Nivella Bajaj Skill ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ನ ಬಂದಿರುವಂಥ ವಿಶೇಷವಾದಂಥ ಹುಡುಗರು, ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಉತ್ತರ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಹುಡುಗರು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಜವಾಹರ್ ಅವರು ತಿಳಿಸಿದ್ರು. So nice to see all of you. So wish all of you the very best, and it's always a pleasure to come to PS. And once again, thank you, Mishra sir. It's nice to see you after a long time. And Mr. Pai, thank you. Please be the voice for pushing the right things and demanding the right things for Bengaluru. Thank you, madam, once again for coming to our city. Today, because of Kempegowda Jayanti, it's a punishing day. I have so many events to be at and make justice everywhere. So I request all of you to also allow me to go to the next event. My very best wishes to the whole team. Thank you so much. Namaste.